Now, one of the advantages of learning math is that we use it in our real life all the time. And this is what happens when we solve story problems during our learning. When problems have more than one operation, we have to be able to reach the correct answer in the correct order of operations. Welcome, my dear students in 4th primary, into today's lesson, the order of operations and story problems. We will learn today more about using order of operations in solving problems and how to represent what is happening in multi-step story problems and in equation to find the answer. Let's first head to the activity number talk on page 342 in your school book in access part. Let's see it all together. And here in access part, as you see here we have two problems. مطلوب مننا to rewrite them in a way to make solving them easier. هنكتبهم بطريقة عشان أحلهم بطريقة سهلة جدا. I'll give you now some time to write them in your book, in your way, and try to solve the answers. Then we will get back. And after writing the answers in the book, let's review them together. In problem number 1, let's see it. Here, as you see here, problem number 1, the addition of 67 is repeated how many times? Look, it is repeated 5 times. And in the end, 15, I will subtract 15 from the answer. So, first, let's represent the problem in a different way. تعالوا نكتب البروبلم دي بطريقة مختلفة. Since the repetition of number 67 takes place 5 times, 67 repeated 5 times, يبقى هعمل ايه؟ هكتب البروبلم دي، هكتب 67 times 5. ليه؟ Because 67 repeated 5 times, 67 times 5. And then I will subtract 15 from the answer. Okay? To solve this equation, we know that since there is multiplication and subtraction, يبقى لازم أبدأ بالmultiplication first. So I'll multiply 67 times 5. 67 times 5 equals what? Yes, 67 times 5. 67 يعني 60 plus 7, right? So I will multiply 5 times 7 equals 35. وبعدين I'll multiply 60 times 5. Here 60 times 5 equals what? Equals 300. I will add these two numbers. 35 plus 300 gives me 335. وبعدين هعمل minus 15. يبقى 335 minus 15. 300 minus 15 equals what? Yes, the answer will be 320. And this is my answer. Let's move to problem number 2. Problem number 2 بتقول لي ايه؟ بتقول لي 568 plus 78 and we subtract 4 8 times. طيب, before we answer this problem, تعالوا نكتبها in different way. Look here, 4 is repeated 8 times. يبقى هعمل ايه؟ multiply 4 times 8 ولازم احط subtraction sign. يبقى تعالوا نكتب الايكويشن بتاعتي 568 plus 78 and I must write subtraction وبعدين هعمل ايه؟ هعمل 4 times 8 لأن ال 4 repeated 8 times. طيب, let's solve it. I will start with the multiplication, right? So, what should I do? I will write 568 plus 78 minus. Here 4 times 8 gives me what? Yes, 4 times 8 gives me 32. Then, what should I do next? I will start with the addition and subtraction from left to right. So, I will make 568 plus 78, right? The answer will be what? The answer will be 646. 646. Then I will subtract from this number 32. يبقى أنا دلوقتي عندي 646 minus 32. So the answer is 614. And this is my final answer. From the last two examples, we have seen how to rewrite a problem to make it easier for me to solve it. This is what we will do with the story problems. We will rewrite them, هنكتبهم تاني بطريقة مختلفة and then represent them in the form of equations. We will be able to do that with the help of the concepts and skills we have learned during the first term. This includes what? Includes the multiplication, division, addition, وكمان subtraction using multiple strategies. Also the addition and multiplication properties. فاكرين ال addition and multiplication properties زي ايه؟ زي ال commutative property وكمان ال associative property. This is addition to knowing how to use symbols and represent the unknown in equations and our knowledge of the order of these operations when solving. Keep in mind خدوا بالكم من حاجة مهمة قوي. في big difference في فرق كبير قوي between the order of operations in solving وال steps of solving. في big difference between these two. As you can see in the first example in build. تعالوا نشوف كده ال first example in build. Here's the first example. On page 342 in the activity, the order of operations and story problems. تعالوا كده نشوف problem number 1. Problem number 1 بتقولي ايه؟ بتقولي عبد الله has 246 stamps. He kept 25 for himself. أخذ 25 لنفسه. And now he wants to give the rest to 6 of his friends. عايز يقسم بقى الباقي على 6 of his friends. طيب now we are asked to find the number of stamps each friend will get. عايز أعرف كل friend هياخد قد إيه stamps. We will need to represent this problem in an equation with an unknown. طيب تعالوا بقى نشوف from our understanding of this problem we know that the number of stamps from which we need to subtract the 25 stamps عبد الله will give for himself. وبعدين هعمل ايه؟ Then we will divide the rest by 6. تعالوا نكتب الإيكويشن مع بعض. يبقى أنا دلوقتي عندي 246 minus 25 divided by 6. Okay. From what we have learned and written and from our knowledge of the order of operations, we are supposed to divide first. احنا كنا بنقول ان احنا المفروض نعمل divide first وبعدين نعمل subtraction. However, this would mean that our understanding of the problem is not represented. Here subtraction must be the first step. Okay? يبقى لازم اعمل subtraction first قبل ما اعمل division. To solve it, we need to add brackets like you see here between 246 and 25. Okay, and then we divide by 6. طيب تعالوا نشوف كده هنعملها ازاي. يبقى let's subtract first 246 minus 25. The answer will be what? Yes, and then the answer will be divided by 6. Now, if you want to write the equation needed for each operation separately, I will subtract first 246 minus 25, okay, and write the equation. تعالوا نعملها كده. يبقى 246 minus 25. 246 minus 25 equals to n. ال n دي ال unknown بتاعي، النمبر اللي أنا عايزة أجيبه. Then we will divide the difference اللي هي n by 6. بعدين هعمل n divided by 6. Okay, now in the solution we will of course use the strategies we have learned before in subtraction and division. تعالوا كده let's solve the problem by subtracting 25 from 246 using the standard subtraction strategy. Okay? طيب هعمل ايه؟ هعملها standard. يبقى I put these two numbers under each other. 246 minus 25. Okay, so 6 minus 5 equals what? Equals 1. 4 minus 2 equals 2, and 2 here in the 100 place. So the answer is 221, which is n. يبقى n equals 221. طيب السكند ستيب هعمل ايه؟ هعمل ال n اللي هي 221 divided by 6. طب أنا عايزة أعمل الديفيجن دي using the partial product strategy. I will write the problem here like this. Okay. So I will write 221 in this place and 6 in this place. Okay. Now, what should I do next? Yes, as you see here, this is the dividend and this is the divisor. Okay. Now we can start dividing these two numbers. I will look for the multiple of 6. دلوقتي أنا عايزة multiple of 6 very close to 221 and less than this number. طيب أنا ممكن أختار إيه؟ ممكن أختار 120. مش 20 times 6 gives me 120. يبقى I will write it here 120. Right? Okay, and I will write 20 in the quotient here. Why? Because 6 times 20 gives me 120. وبعدين هعمل ايه؟ I will subtract 221 minus 120. The answer will be 101. Then what should I do? Yes, I must think of another multiple of 6 which is close to 101. Like what? Like 60, for example. Right? Okay, I know that 6 times 10 gives me 60. So I will write 10 here in the quotient and I will subtract these two numbers. 101 minus 60 gives me what? Yes, gives me 41. Okay, تعالوا تاني نفكر في multiple of 6 less than 41. It could be 36, right? 6 times what equals 36? Yes, 6 times 6 gives me 36. So I'll put 6 here in the quotient and I will subtract these two numbers. 41 minus 36 equals what? Equals 5. طيب تعالوا نشوف كده هي مش ال 5 less than 6 so 5 is the remainder. طيب تعالوا نشوف كده let's add these numbers to find the result. يبقى هعمل 20 plus 10 plus 6. Right? The answer is 36 and I have remainder 5. And this is my final answer. Now you can solve problem number 2 found on the same page. Let's see problem number 2. Here as you see problem number 2, we need to find the distance Maha walked over 3 weeks. If she walked 14 kilometers for 2 weeks, okay? And the next week she walked 56 kilometers. I will give you now some time to answer the problem and then we get back, we will review the answers all together. And after solving the problem, let's review the answers all together. First, we know that the week is how many days? Whole week how many days? Yes, 1 week equals 7 days. يبقى the number of days in 2 weeks, of course, is 14 days. So, Maha walked 14 kilometers every day for 14 days. And in the third week, مشيت قد إيه؟ She walked 56 kilometers. تعالوا نكتب بقى الإيكويشن all together. يبقى أول حاجة هكتبها إيه؟ هكتب 14 times 14. 14 kilometers times 14 days. وبعدين هعمل إيه؟ هعمل plus 56 kilometers. Okay? طيب, in the order we know we will multiply 14 times 14. ممكن نستخدم any strategy you want. Like for example standard multiplication algorithm. تعالوا كده نحلها بطريقة standard multiplication algorithm. Okay, I will write 14 up and 14 down. Then I will start with the ones. So 4 times 4 gives me what? 16. Put 6 down and carry up 1 on the tens. And then 4 times 1, 4. Don't forget to add the 1. 4 plus 1 equals 5. Right? Okay, let's move to the tens, to the one which is the tens. Before multiplying the tens, I will put 0 in the ones place. So 1 times 4 equals what? Equals 4. And 1 times 1 equals what? Equals to 1. Then what should I do? I will add these two numbers. I will make 56 plus 140. So 6 plus 0 gives me 6. 5 plus 4 gives me 9. And 1 here in the 100. So 14 times 14 gives me 196. Right? Then I will add 196 plus 56. So the total distance Maha walked in the 3 weeks is 252 kilometers. Okay, now you can solve the problems found in your book to further practice representing story problems in multi-step or multi-operation equations. Now we will move on to a new way of representing problems in the connect part on page 344. تعالوا كده نشوف ال connect part مع بعض. And here, as you see, this is the connect part. As you see here, the written equation is 50 minus 36 divided by 4. طيب, this time you are asked to write a story problem that represents this equation. Now I'll give you some time to write down any problem you could think of that is solved with this equation. When we get back, I will show you a real-life situation that suits the written equation. And now I am sure you all came up with an example that suits the equation. When I assigned this to a group of my students, لما قلت البروبلم دي to a group of my students, one of them wrote that one of the charities collected 50 pieces of clothing from donations من التبرعات. وبعدين they distributed 36 pieces, and then the rest والباقي وزعوهم among 4 charities. Okay? الباقي وزعوهم among 4 charities in the same area. طيب, this is clear from this example that what? I will subtract 36 from the 50. بعدين هعمل ايه؟ Then divide the difference by 4. And after learning how to solve the equations in the order of operations, let's head to the practice part on page 345 and answer problems together. Now, let's solve the practice part all together on the board. Here in the practice part in problem number 1, the equation consists of multiple operations زي addition, عندي addition و subtraction وكمان multiplication as you see here in problem number 1. We are asked مطلوب مننا to find the answer using the order of operations in the solution. The problem is 89 plus 2 minus 4 times 3. With the order we learned, we start with the multiplication first. لازم أبدأ بالmultiplication first. So I will multiply 4 times 3, right? Okay. تعالوا نكتب الإيكويشن مع بعض. يبقى 89 plus 2 minus. هي 4 times 3 equals what? 4 times 3 equals 12. And then what should I do? Yes, I will start from the left to right. يبقى هعمل إيه؟ هعمل 89 plus 2. Right? Okay. Now we have addition and subtraction like you see here. I start from left to right. Then I will add 2 to 8 to get 89. Okay? يبقى 89 plus 2 equals what? Equals 91. Then minus 12. Hey, 91 minus 12 equals what? 91 minus 12 gives me 79. Okay? So this is the final answer I have. Let's move now to problem number 2. Problem number 2 here, there are 194 people at a concert. Okay, 194 people. After the concert, 43 people will leave in cars. Okay, 43 people will leave in cars. And the remaining people, وبقية الpeople will take microbuses home. Only 9 people can fit on each microbus. We are asked to find the number, مطلوب مننا to find the number of microbuses needed to get everyone home. Now, let's write the equation all together. يبقى first we have 194. I will subtract from it 43. يبقى هكتب 194 minus 43. Then what should I do? Yes, which is the number of people using their own cars? We will divide what's left by 9, right? To find out the number of microbuses needed. يبقى الباقي هعمله divided by 9. Then the equation will look like this: 194 minus 43 divided by 9. Like first I must put brackets between 194 and 43, right? So I will start with the subtraction. هعمل 194 minus 43 equals what? Equals 151, right? Now I want to divide 151 by 9. هعمل 151 divided by 9. طيب هعمل الديفيجن دي ازاي؟ Yes, I want to use the partial division. Okay, so I will draw the division like this. I'll put 151 here and the 9, which is the divisor here. Then let's think of multiple of 9 less than 151. Like what, for example? Yes, I can use 90. Why? Because 9 times 10 gives me 90. So I'll put 90 here. Okay, and then what should I do? I will write 10 in the quotient on the right side. How much 9 times 10 gives me 90? Okay, then what should I do? Yes, of course, I will subtract. هعمل 151 minus 90. 151 minus 90 gives me what? Yes, gives me 61. I'll put the answer here. Then again, I will think of multiple of 9, which is less than 61. Who can tell me? Yes, I can use the multiple of 9, which is 54. I will write 54 here. So 9 times what gives me 54? 9 times 6 gives me 54. So I will write 6 in the quotient, and then I will subtract these two numbers. يبقى 61 minus 54. Here 61 minus 54 equals what? Yes, 61 minus 54 equals 7. I will write the 7 here. Type no, you see, as you see here, 7 is less than 9. طب ده معناه ايه؟ ده معناه ان 7 is the remainder. Okay, so my answer is what? I will add these two numbers. My answer is 16 and I have remainder 7 as you see here. Okay, now this means what? This means that we need 17 microbuses. 16 of them will be full of people, while last one has only 7 people, which is the remainder of the peoples. Now in the same way you could solve the rest of the problems, problem number 3, and in the practice part on the same page. If you need more practice to check your understanding of the lessons, you can scan the quiz code shown here or on page 342 to have access to more problems. And now, after we have finished today's lesson, I hope you enjoyed it with me so much. Thank you for watching and see you next lesson.